We've spent a fair amount of our time and our energy the last 14, 15 weeks focused on action items. And that it's great to have this coaching philosophy, and it's wonderful to state the coaching philosophy and write it out. But it's another thing for us to take that coaching philosophy and identify actual action items that direct us towards building that and making it salient and making it alive in our athletes' lives. When you talk about the goals and the purposes of sport, or you talk about intrinsic motivation or positive motivation, or whatever other piece you want to add into your concept map, it is going to be absolutely critical in that final that the how and the why is absolutely captured in your action items. That you're not just going to state, I'm going to build an atmosphere of intrinsic motivation, or I'm going to build an atmosphere of autonomy, or going to make sure that my coaching philosophy influences everything that I do. Those are those really broad, general statements that I have been kind of trying to highlight and point out to you all for the last few weeks, in terms of trying to get you to dig deeper and to really get you to dig into what can I do to make what I want to do come to life in my athletes. What specific action items can I pinpoint in the concept map, and therefore in my own coaching, that make positive coaching come to life, that make intrinsic motivation come to life. And so it would be obviously, like a simple introductory level thing would be with intrinsic motivation. I'm going to build an atmosphere within which winning is absolutely important. But then, so that would be something you would do in general. Let them know that winning is important and that we are going to do everything we can to win, because that's why we play the game. And then maybe, so that's your in general, and then within your second level, you talk about process orientation. It's going to be very critical for me as a coach to create an atmosphere in a program, in a motivational climate where my athletes have process orientation, where they're not so much focused on just the outcome and they only measure themselves by whether they win or they lose or they outperform another, but instead that they are very self-centered and self-oriented and self-focused in terms of how they establish success, and that they use themselves as this piece of motivation in terms of measuring improvement and such. And then in the third level, you make some type of statement about kind of de-emphasizing outcomes in terms of the standard of performance, and emphasizing process and improvement and performance and measuring the self from one competition to the next. And you take all of those things, right, and you look at what leads to creating that. Well, certainly language would be huge. How we talk about competition, how we talk about practice, how we talk about one athlete compared to another. Language would be really critical. Something within language could be encouragement. How do I use encouragement to reflect intrinsic motivation? Listen, the outcome could have been bad. It may very well have been that the technique was great, the alignment was great, the execution was where it needed to be, and the other person just made a better play. The other person just outperformed the other. So if we just focused on the outcome, we're throwing away all that data. And so one of the things that we can do in terms of encouragement is we can say, listen, your alignment is getting that so much better. Your technique is getting better. Your comfort, all these things are getting better, and you need to continue to focus on those things, and then the outcome eventually will come as you continue to battle, fight, however you want to state that. But to just say, I'm going to create an atmosphere of intrinsic motivation, I'm going to create an atmosphere of positive motivation, is so anemic, and it's so generalized, because I'm sitting here reading it saying, okay, how? Right? So this concept map and the write-up that you do that accompanies it, when you look at your three levels that you have, you're identifying what you want to do, in that first level, what? Positive motivation, intrinsic motivation, creating autonomy in athletes, goals and purposes of sport, coaching philosophy, respect, concentration, focus, whatever you want to do in terms of your elements. You're identifying that in that first level, and then in your second level, you kind of get into the why. Why is it important? Why is it important that your coaching philosophy be present in your actions with your kids? Why is it important that we create positive motivation? Why is it important that we create, say, concentration, respect, composure, whatever it is that you add into your map? And then your third level is that level where how and what become apparent. So how are you going to go about making this come alive in your athletes? What specifically are you going to do to make it come alive? And those are the nice kind of bullet point identifications that you have within your 3 levels of your map. And then in your write-up, it's just 8 to 10 sentences, a paragraph per element. So it could be, if you just do 5, 5 minimum required, great, then it's just 5. And you state again why it's important, why you're including it in the model, beyond the fact that I require it, and how you're going to make it come to life. Okay? And that is kind of the snapshot of what we're looking for. And the point of this video, again, is to just drive home how important it's going to be that you state why you want to do it, why you want to include it in your coaching, what you're going to do to make it happen, and then the how, essentially. Okay, and that should be the embodiment of the action items. And then I guess the last little bit of business is obviously just to thank you all for the efforts that you've put in over the last 15 weeks. I know it's been an incredibly frustrating semester. I know one of the most difficult things when you teach online is if you have technology blunders, it just slows everything. Even up to this very last week where the instructions won't upload, or this video probably will take, who knows, a week just to be able to get it linked and trimmed and uploaded. It's been a very, very frustrating on both ends. It's been frustrating for me as an instructor to be cut off from you guys, and it's been very frustrating for you all to have to wait for feedback, to not get feedback. Some are getting feedback, some aren't getting feedback. And so I just want to say thank you for hanging in there and being patient, and for continuing to just give great effort, and sometimes without any feedback or any guidance. And that's not anything that we can do to change that. I just wanted to acknowledge as the instructor how difficult it has been on both ends, and I certainly acknowledge the frustration on your end. But I want to thank you for just battling and staying committed and kind of persevering through that. So, and again, simply just thank you for your efforts. I love watching everybody in the class grow throughout the 14, 15, 16 weeks that we have together as we kind of dig deep. And we say it all the time, especially this semester, just dig deep, keep digging deep, and trying to establish the how and the what and the why. So I thank you all for your efforts. I thank you all for your patience and for being so understanding, and wish you all the best as you move forward with your classes.